Self-serving bias. The tendency to perceive oneself in an overly favorable manner. It is the belief that individuals tend to ascribe success to their own abilities and efforts, but ascribe failure to external factors. When individuals reject the validity of negative feedback, focus on their strengths and achievements. For example, a student gets a good grade on a test and tells herself that she studied hard or is good at the material, but when she gets a bad grade on another test and says the teacher doesn't like her or the test was unfair. Confirmation bias. Tendency to look information the way we see in our pre-existing opinions, and they start to ignore evidence that opposition with their opinion. Have you ever noticed apple are always red? No, there are variety color of apple. Framing bias. Framing bias is when decision-makers select and highlight certain aspect of a situation while excluding others. They distort what they see and create incorrect references point. Our choice are influenced by frames. Availability bias. Availability bias is tend to remember events that are most recent and vivid in their memory. For example, some people think that terrorism is the biggest threat to the United States because of what they see on television. The real incident happen is not the perspectives television cause 50 times more death than terrorism. They make decision based on news stories and stuff they hear from other. Representation bias. Representative bias occurs when the similarity of objects is confused with the probability of an outcome, meaning people incorrectly believe that two common-sounding events are believed to be more closely correlated than they are. For example, if we meet a company that have an aggressive employee, we will assume that company has an aggressive culture and other people from that firm will also be aggressive. Overconfidence bias. Overconfidence bias is tendency people have to be more confident in their own abilities, such as driving, teaching, or spelling, than is objectively reasonable. Do you know types of overconfidence bias? Yes, of course. Type of overconfidence bias is illusion of control and timing optimism. Example of overconfidence bias 1. The illusion. It occurs when people think they have control over a situation when in fact they do not. On average, people believe they have more control than they do. This can be very dangerous in business as it leads to think situations are less risky. Next, timing optimism. It is another part of overconfidence psychology where people overestimate how quickly they can do work and how long it takes them to get things done. Especially for complicated tasks, business people constantly underestimate how long a project will take to complete.